What is up, college baseball fans? Welcome to another episode of the 11.7 podcast. We are live, 11:17 p.m. Sunday night, April 7th, recapping the weekend. We got Jack. Jack missed last couple episodes. He's been busy boy. But Dimitri back on the East Coast, flying out to Italy in 2 days, and about to play some professional baseball. As you can see, Jack is wearing his Morehead State hat. I'm wearing my Morehead State hoodie, and then Dimitri finally got his care package. Southeastern Missouri, SEMO
Wait,
sent him.
O B C
Yeah, we have
O
the OVC podcast going on
B
right now. As everybody
C.
knows, Morehead, they love Jack, they love me. We picked him preseason. Dimitri stuck with his guns. The SEMO Red, what are they? The Red Hawks?
Red Hawks.
Yeah, I just almost
I mean, if
froze
you
on
can
that.
you read, buddy?
Yeah,
Aren't they the
sorry.
butts? Aren't they the butts?
Anyways,
Butts.
we are
All right.
we are high energy right now. This is going to be a fun podcast. This weekend was spectacular. It was awesome. It had a little bit of everything. And before we get into it, let's go ahead and knock out our partnership with Home Field Apparel. Big meeting for us tomorrow. We're going to be meeting with the Home Field Apparel guys. Once again, they're going to give us a lot of insights on their college baseball launch. Don't know if I'm supposed to be saying that, but it's coming soon, fellas. And we had to pick our team of the weekend, and it was none other than the Missouri Tigers after their big sweep against the Florida Gators. And I've been impressed. I love the black, gold, and white. I know there's a lot of Missouri haters out there, but hey, they had a huge weekend and really cool stuff here at Home Field Apparel. So y'all go to homefieldapparel.com, use our promo code, buy something. You get 15% off. It's CWS24, and at checkout, 15% off. You don't have to get Missouri stuff, as you can see here. Over 150 schools. They probably have your favorite school. If they don't, ask them. They'll probably get it here sooner or later. Um, but yeah, guys, happy to be here. This weekend was awesome. Like, it felt like the first weekend of college baseball since really like the first couple weeks of the preseason tournaments, where there was a lot of energy, a lot of passion. We had a benches clearing situation in Starkville at 11 o'clock at night. It was fun. But overall, this weekend, I like to call it moving weekend, because conference standings start shaking up. You get a good picture, good view at what the conference is looking like, especially for those one bid conferences we talk about, where you first of all have to get into the conference tournament and then win it to get into the postseason. Also, this is the first weekend where you look at the RPI and you're like, wow, this makes sense. The RPI is finally making sense, and yeah. So I'll let Jack start with. We're gonna do a little different. We're gonna shake up the lineup a little bit. What we're gonna do, we're each gonna give like maybe a 5 to 10 minute spiel of what stuck out to us this weekend. We'll build on that. At the middle to the end of the episode, I have three college baseball ideas that you guys are free to steal, but they came to my head, and I'm talking business ideas, college baseball. So I'll treat the listeners there. Y'all take these and run with it, because I don't know if I'll ever actually do anything with it. And then, of course, we'll kind of give you guys a good picture of what the field of 64 is looking at, what conferences are shaking up to be, and then we'll preview the midweek. So, sound good, everybody? Cool. Jack,
Sounds
lead us off.
great.
It's more than good. It's great. And I missed you guys. And I'm excited to be back. And just like any episode that we've been able to display at this point, we're a hand up, transparent podcast. We hypothetically set the over or under of Missouri wins on the year at 4.5. And thanks to that cupcake midweek team that is the Florida Gators, they were able to provide 3 wins to Mizzou this weekend. Buy stock now at 4-8 in the SEC. I think Mizzou's about to go on a tear. Still know absolutely nothing about them. But I'll tell you what I do know. That if you found someone in your life that trusts you as much as NCAA baseball voting commissions have in the Florida Gators, then you found a life partner. Because for whatever reason, at 17 and 14, Florida could probably genocide an entire I don't know, community and still find a way to be in the top 5. At 17 and 14, they should find themselves out of the top 25. They have the greatest college baseball player of all time. But this is getting crazy. Like, I can't understand what's happening. I'm not saying to hit the panic button, even though I just did use the word genocide. But like, it doesn't make sense that they can lose baseball games in the way that they have. On top of that, another team that I'm usually not a panic button guy. I'm a half class full dude, but like, what the hell's happening with the TCU Horned Frogs? So my 2 highlights of the week are that 2 national seeds who we expected to go and march easily back into Omaha with the studs that they brought back. Like, because we're at that halfway point where I kind of feel really good about where they're at. Like, man, these teams that have given you a lot to fear.
Yeah, and LSU fans just took a sigh of relief because they're like, wow, we didn't get mentioned. TCU, Florida, hey, they took all the heat this weekend. Nobody remembers LSU losing 2 out of 3 at home. But anyways, you bring up a really good point, right? I tweeted about this on the 11.7 account. The unanimous top 5 teams in the country preseason. Doesn't matter if you're D1 baseball, Baseball America, college baseball, Central Nation, Rob's rankings. Uh, First of all, college baseball has 80 different rankings out there, and I should probably put together a top 25 rankings of people's top 25 rankings, if that makes sense. A little, what's that movie? Interstellar, Inception.
Or it would be like a big game boomer ranking.
Yes, like I need to make a big game boomer of the top 25 rankings of the top 25 rankings. Anyways, I have no problem saying any of this because we are cowards. We don't put out a top 25 ranking because it does not matter. Preseason rankings don't matter. Even rankings in week number 14 do not matter. The committee goes off of the RPI and the RPI only. The cool thing is there were 4 teams out of the top 5, unanimous top 5 that every single outlet had it in any order: Wake Forest, LSU, Arkansas, Florida, and TCU. Unanimous top 5 teams in the country.
Nobody nobody was on Oregon State in preseason.
They were like 6-7. Same
Oh,
with Tennessee,
yeah.
like 6-7 in there somewhere. But yeah, 3 of those teams flat out stink right now. Wake Forest finally feels like they're figuring it out, but there was a 2-week period where they stunk. Arkansas, unanimous number 1 team now. Like they have lived up to the hype. Uh, Anyways, let's focus on the 3 teams. Like, how did college baseball writers and people, including ourselves, I think we probably would have ranked those teams. Maybe not Florida. We weren't high on Florida this year. We really weren't that high on LSU preseason. We thought they lost a lot, and it was hard to replace a Dylan Cruz, Paul Skeens. But to just flat out miss on this Florida team, flat out miss on this TCU team, and flat out miss on who's the third team here? Florida,
Wake
LSU.
Forest.
No, there's
Wait.
another. Oh, TCU.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about teams that are consistently losing, like either midweeks or weekend series, getting swept, big moments. They just can't live up to it. That is why, since episode number 1, we've always preached as former players, preseason rankings do not matter. They're fun to look at and they draw excitement to the sport because you're like, hey, number 1's playing number 6 or vice versa. But college baseball fans are still in the belief that every single week these rankings mean the world, and they do not. So that's my spiel.
Yeah, I mean, I think preseason ranking are just like any other thing. They are for the casual, just to have an idea of how good teams are. For the people that watch it all day, every day, it's never going to make you happy. You're never gonna agree with it. But for the casual, to give them a good understanding of who's good, who's not good, stuff
Right.
like that. So I think that's the purpose of them.
I, I
But yeah, I mean,
I broke it down pretty good. I feel like that might be arrogant of me to say, but earlier in the season, I said preseason rankings are good for the sport. They're not good. They're
of course,
not good for the players, the
Mes-
coaches, or the fans.
measuring sticks. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I want to put a bow on this on my first headline before we move on to y'all's, and this idea that too, I get passionate about, not because like I think that these teams are in a spot that they can't bounce back from this, right? Like I fully anticipate both of these teams to go on huge runs after I just ripped into them, right? Like Florida still has Jack Haggs, who might be the greatest baseball player of all time. They're going to be fine, right? TCU, who went to Omaha, who was a couple outs away from going to a championship, was in this exact same spot a year ago. So, like, Kirk Saarloos is, I truthfully believe they'll get it right. They need Peyton Tyler to wake it up with the bat a little bit. I fully anticipate for them to kind of reimburse and do what they were able to pull off last year, right? My anger and frustration is that, like, if we're watching these teams consistently lose the ball clubs they shouldn't lose to, like, why do we still have them in the top 5? Like, I don't understand how a 17-14 team is 6th in the country. Like, that does not make any sense. And the final thing I want to add too is, Ben, with those two teams that I mentioned, right? If I had to put my money on anybody to really bounce back in a huge way, and I know their fan base is overreacting, I'm not worried about LSU. I was always worried about their schedule. If you take a look at who they've got on the back end of their SEC slate, fans in the Bayou need to breathe a little bit. Like, they're hitting 296 as a team. Their ERA, which feels demonstrative, is actually only 4.76. So, like, it's not as bad as you might think. They cannot avoid blow-up innings. Like, they give up 7 and 8 crooked run innings like it's their job right now. They've got Tennessee next week, another top 5 team. And then on the back end, I looked this up, Missouri, Auburn, A&M is going to be tough. Bama, who I don't believe in, and then to finish up with Ole Miss. So, like, it's going to get a lot easier on the back half for them. Not saying it's like a cakewalk, but
not that much easier.
But they've got, well, maybe Missouri's awesome after a big sweep this
week. Buddy, can I just say something here?
Yeah.
I know you're like trying to be unbiased, saying, LSU might be back. Dude, just take the glasses off. They're not good.
No. So
take the glasses off, dude. Take the glasses off, and then
I just ripped into them. But I just broke it down. 296 hitting as a team is not as bad as it seems. And I really like Holman. And 4.86 for an ERA for a team that, like, will give up 7 8 runs an inning like it's their job. Like, if they can avoid the big blow-up inning, and I know it's disastrous. I'm just saying, if you look at the back half of their schedule in the SEC versus the front half, I think they're the most likely team to turn it around. That's all.
I would agree with that. They have not won a game 3 in a weekend since like mid-February. They've lost 5 straight game 3s, or quote unquote Sunday games, which is bad.
Shriners. The last time they won a Sunday game was at Shriners.
And they've gotten a run ruled on Sunday twice now in conference play, which is a tough looking rubber.
So what makes you think that LSU will be fine?
For the reasons I just stated. For, like, I think Ole Miss, Missouri, I think Auburn's really bad. I think that they have the opportunity. Like,
you think Auburn's bad?
Yeah,
I think Auburn is a good team. I think Auburn is a good team. They're just playing the best of the best.
I could say the exact same thing about LSU.
You know what, boys? It's going to be fun, because usually the magic number is 14 SEC wins will get you in the tournament, right? 13, your bubble. Like, Ole Miss made it in at 13 a couple years ago, won the national championship. If you're LSU, you're at 3-9. You have to win at least 10 more SEC games to feel comfortable. If you don't, you got to win 3 or 4 in the SEC tournament to get into the NCAA tournament. That's kind of the rule of thumb. The cool thing, though, the SEC, other than Kentucky and Arkansas, who were each 11-1, the rest, like, LSU could go on a run and finish in second place, or second place in the West. A&M is good, but they did lose 2 out of 3 to Florida, which at the time looked like okay, but now it looks bad. The SEC is going to be wide open. There is no off week, as you saw. Even Missouri, really good team. They swept Florida. That puts them in a really good team category. Missouri, you're looking at a Tigers team that, if they can win just 9 more SEC games over the last 5 weekends, they're going to be in the NCAA tournament, which is nuts.
I mean, 9. What did that 9-6?
Yeah, if they go 9-6, which probably unlikely to happen.
That puts them at like 500 though overall. Well, not including midweeks, but they're gonna be borderline 500 team.
Right. So if you're an SEC fan out there, and we could spend a lot of time, and I know non-SEC fans probably skip the first segment as usual because that's where we usually lead off, but you just don't want to be one of those bottom two teams, right? As long as you make the SEC tournament, you can kind of clear your own path to making a regional. And once you're in a regional, anything can happen,
I mean,
as Ole Miss showed. But for
Georgia.
right now, you're just fighting for those bottom two spots. Like, don't be the 14th or the 13th best team. Right now, I think it would be Ole Miss and Auburn. But like anybody is still like anybody could finish in those bottom two spots, other than
You think Auburn finishes behind Missouri? Is that what you just said?
they're 2 games back right now.
Dude, stop. Missouri will not finish in front of Auburn. I will make that a guarantee, whatever you guys call it. Missouri will not finish in front of Auburn when we get
Yes.
not happening.
I love it.
Georgia,
Wow.
Georgia was 11-19 last year heading into Hoover. They lost that first game to South Carolina and they missed the tournament. So if you get 12 and you win 2 in Hoover and your RPI is in that like top 50, top 45 range, you're
I don't
probably
think
getting
12
in.
gets it done. I don't think 12 and 18 gets it done.
And then you win 2 in Hoover. Yes, it does.
I don't think so. I think you need to win 3 in Hoover.
I think 2 because then you're 14 and 18. Then you get eliminated. You have to lose 1 to eliminate or double elimination. So
If you go 12 and 18 and then go 2 and 2 in the SEC tournament,
you're
you're looking
14
at
and
a
20.
14 and 20 SEC record, which is terrible.
Terrible. But I mean, okay, let me see. I'm trying to look at the other SEC teams like Texas A&M 14 and 16. They got in. They went out to where did A&M go? Stanford.
Stanford,
Yeah.
yeah.
Any
14
other
wins is a
SEC
lock.
team?
I think 14 wins is a lock. 13 is iffy.
Oh, yeah. I would have to go a couple years back to find more data on that. But yeah, I've always said 14, you're in, 13, you're on the bubble.
Right.
So yeah, but dude, stop. Auburn is not finishing behind Missouri.
I like that.
Do they
I'm
play
booking
each other
off
this
that.
year?
Book it, stamp
Book
it,
it. Bookmark it.
seal it.
While we're on the SEC, and I'll stop talking about them after this one too. And I know that I was gonna put a bow on it a while ago, but how about Kentucky, man? I apologize from familiarizing myself late in the game, but they got a couple Charleston boys that are leading the way. A College of Charleston transferring Trey Poozer, who started 4 games for him, has come out of the pen. He's got like a 30-9 strikeout to walk ratio. Like, they don't have a ton of dudes that are going to jump off the page at you, but they have like a bunch of guys that they went and like found hidden gems. Like, they have a Nick Lopez dude who's hitting 393 and he never hit over 270 in his career, a transfer from Southern Cal. Ryan Walshman, who's another Charleston guy, transferred from Charleston Southern, a big South school after his freshman year, hitting over 300. But what I noticed when I was doing my homework on him for tonight is, and Walt Schmidt was the same way when he was at Charleston Southern as a freshman, like the inverted walk to strikeout ratio as a hitter, right? Like, he's got like 20 walks, 9 hit by pitches, and has only punched like 11 times. So like an OBP that's over 480 as a team, like they're just like a really fucking solid baseball team.
Yeah, they have a different style of play than most of the SEC. They play in a big ballpark, pitching, defense. They run a lot, like hit and runs, stealing bases, and I mean it proved to work last year. Because let's be honest, like Kentucky's not going to be able to out recruit the Vanderbilts, LSU's, Mississippi States. Like they have to kind of go about it a different way. As you said, their transfer portal guys are coming from College of Charleston and Charleston Southern and places like that. They won't land a Tommy White out of the transfer portal or anything. But yeah, I mean, let's give Kentucky respect. They go and sweep Alabama, who at the time was ranked 13th in the nation. I don't think Alabama is the 13th best team in the nation. That's a team that was playing above their potential the first 20 games of the season, and you can kind of see them slipping away. Um, but my point with Kentucky, like that's a team that if they were preseason ranked 15th or lower, they would be number 1, 2, 3, or 4 right now. The resume's there. I know they lost a weekend series against Kennesaw State, but they scheduled non-conference well. And yeah, they were a super regional team last year, and they had to go to Alex Box and face the national champions. Um, they're probably an Omaha team if they go anywhere else for a super regional. So yeah,
Maybe.
Kentucky's legit. They play well. They a little bit scrappy of a team, but the cool thing about Kentucky, they don't have a guy that teams focus in on, or like they don't have this superstar that's drawn attention to the team. People still think when they show up and play Kentucky, like, hey, we should win 2 out of 3. But they're a well coached team, and I think that I mean, shoot, they're 3 SEC wins away from pretty much guaranteeing a spot in a regional.
I think the way you got to look at Kentucky, their ceiling is low, but their floor is high. That's the kind
Like
of
that.
team I think of with Kentucky. They're
Right.
not going to, like, I don't plan on seeing them in Omaha. Could they get there? Sure. But I don't
You
plan on,
don't plan on seeing them.
no. I think this Kentucky team is a very consistent, high floor team. So when you look at Missouri, like Georgia, they sweep Georgia. They play consistent all weekend. Missouri, they lost one on the road, which we now know is not an easy place to win. We've always kind of known that. And then you've got Ole Miss and Alabama sweeps, big time, right? I mean, I think they beat the shit out of Ole Miss all weekend, last
Right.
weekend. But I think this is the high floor team, low ceiling. Like, I don't see them competing. I just don't see this team getting to Omaha. I mean, we'll see how they do Arkansas, Florida, Vanderbilt to end the year. I'm going to put
That's
it on record right now. They probably lose all 3 of those series. And then it's going to be the same script as last year. Oh, Kentucky's really good, soft schedule. But you can't ignore that they're sweeping everybody.
yeah.
So,
The
like,
sweep
it's like,
is
where are we right now? I need to see more. But right now, I would say high floor team.
That's fair. Let's do this. We're going to kind of bridge the gap from the SEC to the ACC here in just a second. But I proposed a question on Twitter. Arkansas, #1 team in the nation, right? You know, they're beating everybody, and they're doing it with just lights out pitching. The offense is starting to really heat up and play better. But like Clemson is there at the #2 spot, and Clemson actually has a better resume. Now, the eyeball test, I think I would lean Arkansas to be the #1 team in the nation, but there is a discussion now. Coach Bakich has put together a freaking juggernaut of a team that has not only like dominated some games, they've also had a good bit of comeback wins, as we saw against Florida
Bunch.
State, and they have like a never quit attitude. They, I mean, this weekend was another good example of just they grind out these games. It feels like they take each inning individually and try to win the inning, right? Like 9 innings, let's try to win more than 5 of them. So I'm really starting to draw interest in this Clemson team, who I thought would not be able to replicate what they did last year when they kind of surprised everybody and was the #4 national seed. Like these guys are legit, and I think Coach Backett should get consideration for Coach of the Year in the nation. But let's hear your guys' thoughts. Arkansas, Clemson, 1-2. Who do you think deserves the #1 spot, or who do you think is the #1 team in the nation right now, April 7th?
Yeah, I think that Arkansas has got all the prospects, and when you look at like this team, you'll in 5 years go, oh, they gotta had like 3 big leaguers on that ball club. Um, but we're eye test guys, and the way that Clemson is winning these games, like, is hilarious, and it's college baseball in its essence. Like they win a game in extra innings today after blowing what was, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe an 11-run lead against Notre Dame today on a
Yep.
Sunday, and they, if you rewind the clock and go back to that Florida State series where it took 20 RBIs from Blake Wright and 2 grand slams and 8-run deficits. Like they've got that magic like guru a little bit where you're like, oh shit, like this team is really fun. And I made a joke about a month ago where I was like, I can't get over the Kennesaw State loss. This team stinks out loud. They've got no stars. Like this team's got no stars. Well, they've got like a couple like serious big league prospects in their offense. I'm still not like, I don't know if they have a guy on Friday night that really scares you. I think they got really good starting pitching, but on a Friday night in a regional, am I petrified of their one? Not really, but like they're really good. And to your point, I think that's because as a team, when they go down 6-7 runs or they blow a 10+ run lead today against Notre Dame, they take on the embodiment of their head coach and they go, hey, no worries. Like we're all right. Let's roll with the punches. And they're still able to sweep a Notre Dame team that they know they should.
I think there's one deciding factor for me. Hagen Smith on Friday night for Arkansas. Clemson doesn't have that, and I think that's the difference maker. Because I think Hagen Smith wins Friday, I would expect Arkansas to win one of the next two, and that's how I'm gonna just roll with Arkansas in my number one, Clemson in my two.
Yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it too. But we also have seen this Arkansas team offensively run dry multiple times
Yeah.
this year. Like where it's a 1-0 game in the sixth, and you're like, where's the offense coming from? Obviously now they have a couple freshmen that are stepping up and playing like
I
freaking
mean,
all
wouldn't
stars.
wouldn't you say good pitching beats good hitting? College just doesn't ring true that
College
much.
baseball is a little different. I might teach some people this. But you go back and look like basically after I think it was like 2013. When did Arizona win it? 2013. Um,
Yeah, no,
yeah, no, no,
14,
13. I
13.
think Arizona won it in 13, and whenever. Basically, since the live ball era, the juice ball era, offense wins in the postseason. It doesn't like you go back and look at the teams that make it to Omaha. It is a combination of the best runs per game average, mixed in with 3 or 4 pitchers that just get people out. You don't need a whole staff of guys. You need a guy that goes out Friday night, throws 7 innings, shutout ball, and then you need like a good reliever, a closer that can come in and blow the doors off. But it's offense that wins in the postseason. So that's why Arkansas is a little like that 2021
Concerning.
Arkansas team was pretty similar. Like the offense wasn't all the way there for the last half of the season. Uh, so that's what kind of scares me with Arkansas. It's hard to win a game 3-1 in an elimination game in a regional or super regional. You got to have guys that can go up there and bop the ball around. So that that's kind of where I'm at.
I agree. I think that you have to you can't ignore that.
Oral Roberts is a great example from last year.
I was
They had
no bullshit just thinking that.
3 guys that they relied to eat up most of their innings, but it was their offense that took off. And I mean, they had I think 7 or 8 guys hitting over 340 last year. Coastal Carolina
I
2016
was,
went
and you think about Andrew Beckwith coming out of the pen, where it was like they
yeah.
used one reliever, and then Owings was the closer. Like they had two relievers, and they both threw every single day.
That's how you win in the postseason. It's offense
No
and
shit.
guys that it doesn't matter if they're your Sunday guy. If he's coming in relief on Friday, it makes sense. So listen,
yeah,
I hope we get a matchup at some point. Like I hope that Arkansas plays a 3-game series against Clemson. I think it would be really fun to watch. But my natural instinct still says like I think Arkansas wins that 2 out of 3.
Dude, you took the two teams. I was no bullshit thinking that came to mind. I was like, oh, you're right. I guess you really only use like a high leverage reliever and then maybe a guy that can go middle relief and get 2, 3 innings in the postseason, like in like in a no shit spot. And those are the two teams I thought of. And then I was like, wait a second, LSU was the exact same team in the
LSU did the
postseason as
same
well.
thing.
They
You're
did the
Ole
right.
same
Miss was
thing.
the same thing too.
Right. So like it was like great starting guys. And then
Oklahoma,
Riley through every game. He was the rubber band man. Yeah, Oklahoma when they beat Tech in that
Yep.
Blacksburg super, right? Like you're all over the recipe where it's like you really don't need a ton. And then what happens is, and for those who can probably attest, like those front end guys are ice, right? But those
Mhm.
buttholes that were get super tight, right? Like all of a sudden, like when you have offensive pieces that have been raking all year, that confidence trumps a dude that trots out of the bullpen that like might not necessarily have it. Like it's not about depth anymore in the pen. Like those coaches are like, I mean, they're trying to put food on their plate. Like I'm going to my dog, even if he threw like 40, 50 pitches out of the pen the night before. Like it's ride or die time. That was good. I like that.
Anyways, that was kind of our bridge to the ACC. Man, the ACC is wide open. It is so much fun. You looked last week, a team like UNC and a team like Virginia Tech were both sitting there at like 10-2 each, and they both lose a series. Virginia Tech gets swept at home by Wake Forest, which you got to win one if you're at home, even if Wake Forest is the better team. It just makes the season a little bit easier if you just get one. Now you're kind of in that territory of like more pressure next week for Virginia Tech. But anyways, my point is last week it was a little top heavy in the ACC. This week it's back to like everybody's kind of neutral fighting for those spots. Clemson obviously has a big lead. because they swept Florida State. But even a team like Louisville, they go and defend the home turf and they sweep NC State, who was rolling at the time. And Clemson, I mean not Clemson, sorry, Louisville is back in the ACC picture. Like they put themselves back into consideration of, okay, this is a regional team. So let's talk
Are you
about the
guys
ACC.
gonna? Are you guys gonna? I don't want to say
Yeah.
apologize, but are you gonna
I was
like?
gonna do it. I was gonna do it. Hey D,
Apologize
Hey,
for what?
Riz got 6 in a row. That's all I was gonna say.
Oh, Miami's lost 6 in a row. Is that what you're gonna
No,
say?
no, that's not what I
No,
was talking about.
no, I
Who
was
said?
thinking.
Who said? I think Louisville is sneaky, kind of good this year.
I don't want to
You
hear it.
did.
I picked Louisville to go to Omaha preseason,
You
and
did.
they let me down the first half of the year, but they finally
bullshit.
look good.
Okay, you might have done that. You jumped off that wagon so damn fast. And a
I had no
couple weeks
choice. They
ago,
couldn't carry me. That wagon was getting empty, and I was the last one left. I had to jump off.
I don't know,
False.
Jack. Can you vouch for me here? Because I remember 3 weeks ago, I was like, "Hey guys, like Louisville's not a bad team," and you guys were both like, "Dude, they're terrible. They're not good."
Well, no, we may have said it a month ago, but we've got with Final Four finally being over tomorrow. We've got a portfolio, a Rolodex of Pencil Talk interviews coming out this week. And the needle, Mr. Ben Upton, looked right at Coach McDonald after we got done interviewing. Goes, Coach, I got the cards going to Omaha. Are we going to make it happen or what? He goes, I appreciate you. We'll get it rolling. Now, granted, it wasn't the best weekend against Wake, but they took care of it. They're going to be all right. But yes, maybe a month ago we jumped off board, but we are full on train. It's tough to go win up there. Like they dominate at home.
Yeah.
But you were on the Louisville train early. I was more so talking about your Canes just
that's another one. But before we get
But
there,
listen, Miami
hold on,
lost 3 one-run games this weekend
hold
at
on.
Duke.
Before we talk Miami, I just want to say for the listeners, I'm wrong all the time. I say stupid ass things all the time. But when I'm right about something, I want everybody to know about it. That's all. That's all I'm trying to do here. I'm wrong all the time. People come at like I just want to make sure like I'm not some freaking.
I want to defend the Miami Hurricanes real
Here we
quick.
go. Let's
Can
talk
I
Miami.
defend the Hurricanes? Listen, I said they're an exciting team. They feed off the atmosphere. You can't expect them to go into Duke in their tiny ACC stadium and thrive. But listen, they competed. They lost 3 one-run games. They got walked off twice. They had a lead. They did some stupid stuff today with a hidden ball trick. Like they don't thrive in that environment. Like go put them at Citizens Bank Park against the Phillies and they'll beat the Phillies straight up. Like that's where Miami thrives.
That's
So
a crazy take.
the
How about
Durham
against
environment
FAU
was
on
not
Tuesday?
there. It was
The
a
same
half
way.
empty
The same
stadium
way
that
they
seats
lost.
500 people.
The same way they lost 2 out of 3 at Notre Dame and gave Notre Dame their only 2 ACC win.
That's my point. You go to Notre Dame, the Miami boys are not thriving in South Bend. You go
All right,
put them
fine,
against
fine.
the Hiroshima, not Hiroshima. What's the Giants team in Japan? Who is that?
The
Help me out here.
The Dinos are the
Yeah, you
South
go the
Koreans.
NC Dinos in Korea, dude.
Yeah.
With that environment, the Hurricanes are sweeping that series.
Okay, fine. Let me take this a step farther. If you don't win those games, you ain't having a chance to play at home in June,
I hope they're a 3 seed at freaking
and they will
I guess
lose.
Alex Box or make Miami the 3 seed at Fayetteville, Arkansas, and they will win that regional. They will thrive in that environment.
Do you know
But
what
if you put
Miami's
them,
record? Do you know what Miami's record is on the road?
I don't know what.
2-7. Do you know what their record is at home? 13-9. Do you know what that overall is? A losing record. 15-16. They're not a good team.
Well, they need to play against some teams that have a rowdy environment. That's what I'm
Raucous
saying.
environments.
Send them to the East Carolina regional. They'll win that.
My 2 big points in the ACC were we'll start with the team that we've been super high on all year that we said was the number 1 seed in the country and then jinx them a little bit. Duke gives off such crazy Wake vibes from last year, man. Like they are so damn balanced. They're led at the top by their third baseman, like Wake was last year in Wilkin, and Ben Miller is just like the prototypical leader with Bravo for like they're so good offensively, defensively on the mound. They're rolling. I expect them to host the national seed, and they should, and they will, and they'll do it at Jack Coombs Field. But
I think
Wake Forest,
can.
to Dimitri's point, I did write off Wake a little bit because I was starting to get a little bit worried about that staff. But sometimes all it takes is just one guy. And I don't know who did it on the admin account, but with Cole Rowland coming back in the fold for them and getting to talk to him last year during Omaha, like he's a psychopath. And like young guys, which they've got a lot of in that pen, feed off of psychopaths. It becomes contagious, right? And then all of a sudden, Nick Kurtz is healthy and hits 8 home runs in 4 games. And you're like, oh, they're back.
Hey,
They're back.
Wake, big time sweep. They needed it. They needed to revive themselves with a sweep. But we can't sit here and pretend that Virginia Tech is a powerhouse this year. They played a super weak schedule. They played Notre Dame and Louisville. They're down bad. And then Boston College was not playing great either. And so it's like, and they had Pitt. You talked about how they're going to be 11-1 in the ACC.
Yeah.
Everyone could be like, oh, but they haven't played anybody.
I will say Friday night in Blacksburg was electric.
It was a good environment.
A sold-out crowd. It felt a lot like that 2022 team, and they got to Chase Burns early. Now Chase Burns ended up with 15 punch-outs and was turning psycho. Like he was turning into the Incredible Hulk on the mound.
Yeah.
I think somebody tweeted about him being a werewolf. It was crazy. When the sun went down, he turned psycho.
I have a question.
What's up?
About Chase Burns. I love the energy and stuff, but is this sometimes cringe when you're like seeing a clip or whatever? Hold on. Let me finish. When you see a clip, think of it from a perspective like this. You're on Twitter scrolling, you see a clip. It's 5-5 in the 4th inning. Nobody on base. Chase Burns gets an inning-ending strikeout, and he does all this stuff. You're just kind of like, dude, like calm down.
All I know is
I'm getting that vibe. I'm like, kind of, dude, relax.
All I know, I don't remember who posted this, but somebody on Twitter posted that those college guys, and this is no knock against Chase Burns. Like I love watching him compete.
So do I.
But the college guys that get drafted in the first round that show a ton of emotion at the college level never work out, and like they don't work out in the big leagues. Because when you get to the big leagues as a rookie, if you get to the big leagues, or if you're in Idaho playing single A ball, you can't do that kind of stuff, if that makes sense. You're
not going to want to.
Yeah, you would get crucified by your own team and the team against you that are all professionals. So somebody posted it. I thought it was an interesting point. Like the guys that get drafted in the first round that actually work out are like the Steven Strasburgs, there's a list of guys that like they're pretty level-headed. So I don't know if Chase Burns will be able to pitch with like that kind of electricity until he gets a few years into the big leagues. Now I think he can figure it out. His stuff is there. Like I don't want to say that he's not going to succeed.
Do you have any examples? I'm trying to think of super electric, super emotional players that are in the big leagues right now from recent memory.
There's not.
Zach Neto wasn't a super electric. He just did his bat pimping stuff, but he was never a rah kind of person. Gilbert from Stetson always was super unemotional, just pitched and walked off the mound like a nobody. Like there's not many. Even thinking the SEC, there's not that many rah guys that are in the big leagues right now.
Right.
Yeah, but I also say this, and maybe this helps us filter the conversation in a way that like I shook your head at you when you started that statement to Dimitri because I was like, yeah, but like it's awesome. But when you say perspective and I'm just scrolling and I don't know anything about Chase Burns, you're like, yeah, what a douche. But I remember Chase Burns as the closer. Like I liked Chase Burns in that spot against Southern Miss, like where he literally looked like his head was going to explode. And I was going to run through a wall with him. Like he's a closer in his heart, right? So this is the reason he goes to Wake and he goes and checks out the pitching lab is because he wants to learn how to be the starter. So like maybe the next adaptation in his development is like, hey man, like reel it back and know when to pick and choose your moments. But like, for a team that's struggling, like I'm sure as hell not going to reel back the energy when my team desperately needs it because like he gives Garrett Gainey energy who like at Carolina right now, like got another big save and like wants to fight anybody that stands in the box with him.
Right.
It's not personal with Garrett Gainey. Like he did it again today. He closes the door on A&M, big 2-inning save. And like, it wouldn't have mattered if like Hulk Hogan was standing in the box. He would have tried to fight him. So like that's the energy that Chase Burns gives off because he's still got like that back end bully vibe. You know what I mean?
But he's got to figure out how to be a more consistent starter, because if he wants to get his $4 million life-changing money, he has to be a starter. He can't let anybody know, hey, I'm a closer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Dude,
I
I
definitely
think
agree
he's
with
going
that.
to be a starter. I mean,
I
I
do
think
too.
it's
I
like
think
not a
He's got
question.
the stuff. Don't get me wrong. He's got the stuff to be a starter. I mean, if you look at his spin rate, his induced vertical break, his spin rate, his velo, all that stuff, he's above average big league pitcher today, big league starter today, stuff wise.
Yeah,
he's a top 5
100%.
pick no matter what, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Right.
Top 5 pick no matter
He's
what.
a top 10. I would say top 10.
Top 10. So to me, I think
Dude,
he's
I've
like top
seen
5.
I've seen a lot of talk. I've seen a lot of talk on this, and there's a lot of interest in him going possibly 1-1. I'm being
His
dead
stuff is
serious,
that good.
I would
but
take him one.
at the same time, with all the this kind of translates into like the major league conversation right now. Pitching injuries are becoming a surplus. A lot of guys, Shane Bieber goes down. There was another big name
Strider.
guy that has to get arm surgery.
Spencer Strider.
The
Poor Braves.
Strider
Yeah.
possibly too. The the there's a lot of risk involved when I saw that who has got the one pick? Is it Cleveland or Cincinnati? One of those teams. I think it's Cleveland
Is
has
it
the one pick.
Nobody knows
But
yet.
Is
Oh
it
yeah, it
Oakland?
came
yeah,
out. It came out. Sorry, it came out. I don't know who it is.
whoever it
I'll
is,
look.
the cap is 10.1 million, I believe, which is insane money to give a pitcher that possibly could have arm problems down the road. So, but the stuff is there.
Oh yeah, his
He's
stuff
kind
is
of like
there.
Hagen
But
Smith. I think it's like 6 or 7 straight games with double-digit strikeouts. It's
let me ask you this.
crazy.
I mean, we're no MLB draft pros. We're no GM. We're no front office guys. But
Ben's
I'm the kind of person.
going to be.
I'm the kind of person that I will never let results mean nothing. Like Chase Burns will go out there and give you 6 innings, 13 Ks, but also give a 4 or 5 run sometime, and
Oh,
I'm just
I
like,
I can make an argument against that. He plays in the ACC, which is the most offensive conference in the country, and a lot of those ballparks are very hitter friendly. Like, sure, like he gives up some runs. When you look across the ACC, it feels like every game a team scores double digits.
but
So
were we not thinking similar when he was at Tennessee starting, and they were like, dude, we got to move him to the bullpen.
I think there's
He
more of
was
a story
electric
behind
there
that.
too, but he kept giving up runs.
That's okay. I'm not worried about the runs given up at all.
Okay,
I'm looking at the
fair.
physical size. I'm looking at the intangibles that you can't you can't teach a guy to have 3,000 spin like a 3,000 spin rate. You just
Oh,
can't.
yeah. But I think results should matter more than sometimes people leave off. Like same thing
Yeah.
with the whole Caglianone. Oops, his walks
Close.
and not getting deep in the game in last year.
Yeah.
That's important to me. Like no matter how good your stuff is, like I feel like that's important to me. So,
All
anyways,
right. Hey, I don't claim to do it, and I know you guys did it last week, so I'm going to give you another shot. And I rapid fire 30 seconds. Riz God, I liked where you went. No high school guys. I want your 4 best college prospects because I saw Mr. The Needle, Ben Upton, do it. He is a scout. I believe Ben Upton is going to be a general manager one day in my heart of hearts. Guardians, Reds, Rockies, A's. I want your 4 most gradable college prospects today.
Say the order one more time because I actually don't know the order.
I just looked it up. Guardians, Reds, Rockies, A's. Top
So the
4.
Guardians are known for taking pitchers in the first round. I don't think they do it this time. So this is the order I would take it. I would go Jack Caglione 1 overall because
Yep.
you just it's hard to miss on that, right? Like you buy the bat, but you have the pitching on the back end if the bat just doesn't work out. Dude, I'll tell you my number 2 prospect right now, and people are gonna think I'm crazy, but it's Braden Montgomery. I think he's closer to going 1-1 overall than he is going like number 7, 8, 9, or 10. And I'm being serious when I say he might be the most athletic guy in this year's draft. He also has somewhat of a pitching background. He will not get drafted as a pitcher, but you look at his swing, the bat speed is incredible. He's a switch hitter, and the numbers he's putting up this year is ridiculous. And so I would take him 2 overall who'd you say that was for? The Reds?
Yeah.
That's a
Three
perfect
Rocky.
place for him to go.
I mean,
The
three red.
Rocky. Oh,
Two
three
Rocky,
Reds.
three red.
No, you got it. It's Guardians, Reds, Rockies, A's.
So the
Rockies.
Rockies are going to take a pitcher because the Rockies have to, right? You can't get free agents coming into Coors Field and you don't see pitchers getting signed there. They're going to go with either Hagen Smith or Chase Burns. Like flat out, one of those two guys is going to the Rockies.
Who do you
And
want?
then who was four?
Who do you want? Who's your guy then? Who's your?
I would personally take Hagen Smith.
Love it.
I,
A's at 4. I love it.
A's at
Love it.
4, dude. The A's are such a wild card, man, and it's going back freaking decades to the draft. The A's are probably going to take a guy.
They're going to take a position player that they know they can trade for value.
They're going to take a position player, but they could go way off, like way off script. Like this is a spot where like they could take a Dakota Jordan, like a guy with just unreal raw power, really good athleticism, good arm. They could also, dude, I'm telling you, like they could go take a Tommy White. And when I say that, people are gonna be like, "Whoa, Tommy White 4 overall." The A's are weird, man. Like they might look for a guy that's going to be the face of the franchise that has like a personality,
When they go to
a guy
Vegas.
that could potentially become trade bait later on. Uh, like who knows? Who knows what the Oakland Athletics are going to do? So that's. But think about this: wouldn't Tommy White just be perfect in Las Vegas? Like he
Dude.
just has the Las Vegas. Like, he could be
Dude,
the
that's
face of the
5 years
franchise.
away.
I know, but like, well, it's 4, right?
2028, right? 25,
Phillies first
24,
draft.
25, 26, 27, 28. That's
We did it. We got Dimitri to count again. Every podcast he counts out loud. We did it. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28.
why do I don't know. I like counting. Anyway, Travis Bazana, number 1, going to Cleveland. Come on, that's a no-brainer.
Look, I think Bazana would be my pick if he's available and I'm the Oakland A's. Go get the Australian, right?
The Aussie.
Aussie,
Bazana
Aussie,
1.
Aussie.
And then you said Cincinnati Red. They
Yep.
need pitching, not the. I mean, but the MLB drafted weird. Rarely do you draft on team needs. You just usually take best available. Yeah. And so you're probably looking at a Charlie Condon, JJ Weatherholt.
Okay.
Weatherholt seems like a guy the A's would draft, like off script. Yep. If he's there, like it feels like a good fit for him.
Rocky, they're 100. I could see a Brady Montgomery going to Colorado, but I could also see that being where you go get Chase Burns.
Right. I think the Rockies are almost certainly going to take.
And then for Oakland, that's your Jack Tag.
There's your face for Vegas.
There's your face of the franchise two-way player.
I like it. I know that we're a mid-major pod and we wanted to talk college baseball, but right. I am going to go back and clip that last 3 minutes because that was actually fucking awesome. Like, because I'm in the opinion too, where like I really did it because I don't think teams draft on grade. Like, and as an Astros fan, like the Stros took Bregman 2 years after they took Correa 1 overall. So I just wanted to hear y'all's like thoughts on like top 4 or 5 best prospects. But Ben absolutely nails it. And then the beauty of it was like Dimitri brings up a couple of names that you're like, oh wait, like how do you not go there? But wait, I think so. That was fun. I like that.
Well, dude, speaking of the draft, this will be the last thing we say about it. But it's interesting now because the Georgia Bulldogs are starting to put Charlie Condon in center field. We got to see him play center field this week and first base. So this year, I think he's played first base, third base, left field, right field, center field. And I think Wes Johnson's just doing Charlie Condon a huge favor. Just saying, listen, you're the best player on the team, best player in the country possibly, and we want to improve your draft stock. Because if Charlie Condon can play center field in college, it just shows the scouts like, hey, he's more athletic than what maybe you're thinking, like with a corner guy. So cool.
A dude that's slugging over 1,200, like it's going to be really hard not to make him the Golden Spikes guy. And I know that's a whole other argument we could even go down. But the player comp we always said with Condon was Chris Bryant, right? Like corner spot, corner outfield, great. Like they're literally allowing him to go showcase that. You put him in center, which he and Jay Slaviette did with Team USA last summer. They both played center field, kind of platooned it. If he's able to play center, then all of a sudden, like the market opens up where you're like, yeah, no, I'm actually like Bellinger. Like obviously not at the plate profile, but like I can go to center to first. Like that's like that new like era of athletic first baseman that you're like,
Adam
shit.
Duvall does it for the or did it for the Red Sox last year,
Yeah.
and I think for the Braves a little bit too.
The Braves are in that World Series run.
Yeah.
Hey, let's circle back here and let's kind of recap the weekend a little bit more.
Let's do
I
it.
like
What do you got for us?
So I wanted just to start off by saying Dallas Baptist finally fell. I
Yeah.
was not expecting it at all. I was not expecting this to. I knew that they were going to slip up. It was coming. It's inevitable. Nobody goes 56 games perfect. But Western Kentucky's like,
Oh, dude, I disagree. Western Kentucky is a solid club, dude.
I mean,
And
are
at
they
home,
a solid club where you're like, oh wow, Dallas Baptist, Western Kentucky, like, no,
yeah. No,
no.
I think that well, you got to think about it like this. Western Kentucky has had this series circled for a long time. Western Kentucky like sees themselves in Conference USA being a top tier team. And they're not a bad team. I think they're like 20-10 this year,
Okay, but
something like that.
going into the weekend, did you think even once or twice saying, oh, I think Dallas Baptist could lose this weekend? No.
No, I didn't even know they were playing this weekend until they lost on Friday.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you would have seen them, because you didn't notice, you didn't care. You saw
But
Western Kentucky, Dallas Baptist, you move on.
that's different. Like, it would have been way different if on Friday Dallas Baptist loses and I'm like, oh my God, they just lost to Western Kentucky. And it was like, oh wow, Western Kentucky like pitched lights out and like they played well at home.
I
Like, can
mean,
Dallas Baptist bounce back?
they did beat Ryan Johnson. Like, come on,
Yeah, Ryan
that's a
Johnson
big time
also bit
loss.
his tail off too, though.
So, I just wanted to point that out. Irvine, that team's incredible. I think they are very similar to Dallas Baptist, but they're more pitch. They can pitch better. They're
Yeah.
offensively as dynamic as a team like Kentucky. I think Irvine and Kentucky are similar offensively. Kentucky more talented, I think, but Irvine can pitch with anybody. Just
Hmm.
pure, just pitching. So that team is going to be hosting a regional. I mean, that was pretty much their key to winning the Big West, was getting through that series with Santa Barbara. So those were two big series for me. And then other than that, there was a
I'll tell you which series I like watched the most of this weekend, and maybe that'll help people, I don't know, follow the pod a little bit better. But I watched a lot of the East Carolina FAU series. I'm interested in this FAU team a lot
same.
because of what they did against Vanderbilt opening weekend. Sometimes, like, this is just historical and like how my brain sees Florida Atlantic baseball, but they usually are like a roller coaster most of the season, but have serious talent because the talent pool to recruit from down there in South Florida is incredible. I always go back to that 2019 team that was a 2 seed at the Georgia Regional. Like, that team was a lot of fun, and this team reminds me a lot of them. And man, they gave East Carolina everything they could handle, and it was almost a like passing of the torch. If Florida Atlantic could have won that series, the rest of their schedule kind of opens up, and like they can make a run and win the American. But it
They're
comes
still in
back
it.
to the Pirates. East Carolina, like, this is their conference, and they're going to win it almost every single year. And East Carolina showed me that, hey, they're a regional host. Like, that is a legitimate good team to go on the road and win down there in Boca.
Pump the brakes a little bit. It is their conference, and I'm not questioning that at all. South Florida, FAU, and UTSA are right on their heels. I mean, UTSA is still in front of them with the series win over them. So
Yeah.
I would say that this is a new era of the American. This isn't the same American that East Carolina has ran for the past decade. So I wouldn't quite say that they're conference to run with yet, because I mean, there's in second. South Florida just swept a good Wichita team this weekend. Like, the
Yeah.
Americans got 3-4 really good teams at the top. So um, I just wouldn't declare this East Carolina's conference yet.
Let me go inside my brain for just a second. When I think American Conference, I think of the very first conference tournament game is always from the American. It's always 11 a.m. Or no, I think it's like 9 a.m., right?
9 a.m. scorching hot Clearwater, Florida.
Always rain in the forecast. Dude, I love the American tournament. It's like one of my favorite tournaments to watch just because of that 9 a.m. Tuesday game. special.
And then after 5 days of playing, those guys are cooking on Sundays at 1 p.m. in the championship game. Just
Yeah.
sun is beaming on them. They have umbrellas out in the outfield, in the bullpen. Like, you get cooked down there. So it is a fun conference.
Okay, I guess I promised everybody the other games I watched this weekend. I mean, I watched that Georgia Mississippi State game, our weekend series. Can we talk about I can't believe we made it almost an hour into the pod without talking about Saturday night's just debacle of umpiring, of officiating, of it wasn't even a benches clearing brawl. And there was 12 ejections. We had pitchers playing the field, pitchers hitting. Cale Stevens made Cale Stevens made the final out of the game. He was a Friday night starter. I know in the rule books it says like if you leave the bench, you're ejected. Blah blah blah. The situation, if you haven't seen it, um, the catcher from Mississippi State, I'm blanking on his name right now, but awesome relay home, make a tag. He gets up and kind of knees the runner at home plate in the face twice, like really gets up on him. And, the guys are doing what they're taught. As former college baseball players, if there's somewhat of a chest off, as I call it, like two guys like in each other's grill
A tushy
talking,
tushy.
yeah, exactly. You go and run and like pull your guy aside and just like de-escalate the situation, right? Well, Hunter Hines is de-escalating the situation because he's coming in from first base and he's pushing, not pushing, but making sure there isn't any more
He
tushy
wasn't
pushy.
pushing. He had his hand up like, "Hey, we're
Yeah,
good. We're good."
he
Like,
was
"Hey, we're good.
de-escalating the
Hey, calm down."
situation, and so was a few other guys from Mississippi State and a few guys from Georgia. There was really only one guy from Georgia that like tried to take it up a notch. He was wearing a hoodie. We don't know who he was, but he came screaming in from the dugout. But anyways, long story short, it was a 40-minute delay in the game because they had to call into the SEC officiating booth review team and they're picking off players and anybody that's within like a 5-yard radius of home plate gets ejected. So it was just a bunch of crap and it was
Um,
embarrassing for the sport because it was on like SEC network. It was on national television.
Before Jack gets into it, I know he's got a couple things to say. There's one way to describe it. It was a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really just a whole lot of nothing. I mean, people know I'm the first to go clip like stuff like that. I was watching. I was like, what? Like, this is nothing. This is absolutely nothing. What a waste of time. I'm not even gonna put any spotlight on it
It turned
because
into something because of the 40-minute delay. Nobody would have known it happened if there wasn't a 40-minute delay.
exactly.
You guys both said it perfectly, and I didn't bring it up intentionally in this idea that it was almost poetic that we waited about 50 minutes into this pod to bring up what was arguably the most clicked on college baseball story of the weekend. Because why? Because the three of us who actually know the game know that it was bullshit. It didn't matter. It was a catcher who that got hit pretty hard and is trying to flex and be Bobby Badass, which I'm all about, by the way. I love it. Like, he's fired up. The runner hits him pretty good, but he's diving out of the baseline. The throw takes him into the play. So, like, it's clean there.
No,
And then, like
that was not
Ben
clear. Hold on, that was not clean. What Mississippi State catcher did was kind of BS. It was
yeah,
bullshit.
no, he's Bobby Badass. He's trying to
That was the
flex for
only
sure.
bad part of the whole thing.
Yeah. But like he's a big play, he's trying to fire up the boys. Like, I don't like whatever. It's all good. Like, I still didn't think anybody crossed the line. I didn't think it was worthy of a guy getting punched out of a ball game, in my opinion.
No,
I say all that because I'm glad that we waited 15 minutes to talk about a non-story. But the bigger story is the fact that these umpires continuously want to find a way to input themselves into these positions of like whether it's tossing a guy out and after hitting a walk-off homer. Game's already over, dude. Like, you are null and void. Like, this was another opportunity for them to make it about me. And I thought it was kind of perfect what Lamonis said from Mississippi State. And he's like, dude, they went back to go look. And what Ben mentioned, if you got within 5 yards of home plate, they just started picking guys off unless you had a hoodie on. If you had a hoodie on, they couldn't. So it's like, what are we doing? Like, it's your system's flawed big time. And he pointed out perfectly. And I'm glad that we waited 50 minutes to bring it up.
and I want to make sure the listeners know they initially announced how many suspensions, however many, 12, 13, 14 suspensions. only one or two people ended up being the SEC like did they called back and said no, we're not going to do that. The blowback was too big. They said okay, just one or two guys suspended. Everybody else can play today. So it ended up being all fine and a big whole lot of nothing. So yeah.
Shout out to Chris Burke on the call. He was just as confused as ever. He was just like, "This is ridiculous." Like, hopefully Chris Burke was getting paid by the hour broadcasting because that was a waste of time. Another series I watched a lot of, Kansas State and UCF. So let's dive into the Big 12 now. That was a series that obviously we had on the weekend series pick'em, and we had it on for a reason because both of these teams, at least in the 11.7 opinions, were two teams that we felt could compete for a Big 12 championship preseason. Dimitri
Oh,
wrote an article on UCF. He was big on the Black Knights, or I guess they're just the Knights, not the Black Knights, but um, big on UCF. Jack was huge on Kansas State because of their Team USA guys that he got to see this past summer. Anyways, long story short, UCF does it again. Like they defend the home field. They have an awesome environment there. I need to go catch a game because there's just something about that stadium that I love. And yeah, I mean, I think it solidifies not only I really do think Kansas State is a good team. It's tough to go down there and play, but the UCF Knights I think are what 6 or 7 in the RPI now, and like
7.
a team 7 in the RPI now. Season ended today. They're hosting a regional, and I mean they don't make it easy on themselves. I'll put it that way. They're always coming from behind or winning these one-run games, which might catch up to them. But like what Coach Lovelady has got going on down there is a
Nope.
team of just gritty
Nope.
dudes. No,
Love
not
lady
Lovelady.
Rich
You're
Wallace.
right. Yes, yes, Wallace. I forgot. My brain is still in 2023. But it's a bunch of gritty guys that get after it. Another fun, exciting Florida team to watch. So, credit to the UCF Knights winning
You know
that
what's
series.
crazy? UCF is tied for 7th in the Big 12, 1.5 games back.
Dude,
That's
just
how
read the
bunched
read
up
the Big 12 standings right now. It's such a cluster.
West Virginia and Oklahoma are tied for first. Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Texas, and Cincinnati, which, by the way, I said they weren't going to win more than 3 or 4 Big 12 games this year. They already have doubled that.
Swept TCU at
They're
home.
all 7 and they're all tied 7-5. Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Texas, Cincinnati tied at 7-5. Then Texas Tech, UCF tied 8-7. I mean, this conference is not even close to having a more narrow picture of who can win this conference. And UCF is the only top 25 team in this conference, and they're tied for 7th.
Yeah, they're 8-7 though. They have a series win against Texas Tech. They have a series win against Kansas State.
Oklahoma State.
That Oklahoma State too. They just got swept by Oklahoma to start Big 12 play at Oklahoma when Oklahoma was playing really good. Um, and yeah, I mean, I don't know if UCF's going to win the conference, but right now it feels like they have the best chance to host a regional. Nobody else is really even close. Oklahoma kind of close, but
But you got to
the Big
remember,
12.
this is a UCF team going from a mid-major to a Power 5 conference. I mean, yes, I know football, they're a massive school, all that. But it still takes adjustment sometimes. I mean, Houston's really feeling it. I mean, they're struggling. I mean, even at big time power school like TCU is 5-10, and UCF is like right in the mix of things. So it's like it's really impressive what they've done in year one in Big 12, going from a mid-major conference to a Power 5 conference like that.
Of all the new entrants, I sure as hell didn't see Houston being at the bottom of the barrel. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I thought the I guess kind of recruiting from the same pick of players, like I thought they'd have the better chance to go in and compete. But the two things that stood out to me in the Big 12 this weekend is like every time Texas has the opportunity to run away with this conference, they refuse to do so. Like I understand that they lose both games to BYU this weekend on one swing, and Jalen Flores still looks really good, but like that's such a bad loss this weekend to BYU.
Terrible series loss.
Just such a bad series loss for them. And West Virginia, who there's 6 other teams in the Big 12 who have a better overall record, just find a way to keep it rolling. And
West Virginia is a fun team to watch too.
And they finally get Weatherholt back. It's like, dude, you just let us stick around. We get the boy back, and he hits a game-winning double in his first AB. Like, come on. Like,
So JJ Weatherholt feels like he feels like an MLB team at the trade deadline getting like a superstar.
That's a
And
great comparison or
dude, I know
analogy.
he's been on the team the last 3 years or whatever. And he should have been a Golden Spikes finalist last year, but getting him back in April was incredible for this team's morale because they
No
play
doubt.
harder. They won some close games this weekend. They are a legitimate threat to win the Big 12. I really like that team a lot now that JJ Weatherholt's back.
Yeah. The only other thing I was gonna say about the Big 12 is I think Oklahoma the true Oklahoma team is the team we just saw this weekend, and the team the team that we saw the first couple weeks I was like, I don't think they're that good. When you look at their roster, you look at their guys, they're not supposed to be that good. They're a good Big 12 team, but they're not a top 10 team in the country or anything like that.
But what do we know about the Big 12? Guys, anybody want to answer? What do we know about the Big 12 the last 2 years?
Nothing makes sense.
There's always a team right around this time.
That
Maybe
goes
maybe by
nuts.
next week, maybe mid-April, late April,
Yep.
that goes on a tear and ends up in the College World Series. We saw Oklahoma do it in 2022. Saw TCU do it in
So
2023.
who are you saying it is? I think I have an idea. I
I
think
think
Big
I
I have
think
Q,
one too.
I think West Virginia fits the mold.
Q Country Road.
I also think this team might surprise you coming from my mouth, but Oklahoma State,
I know. That was mine.
they looked so bad, and I called them the worst team in the Big 12 like 3 weeks ago after they struggled with Mercer. But they have the star power, man. Like they have the guys that Oklahoma had, the Peyton Grahams and
Carson
J-
Bange.
yeah, no, but I'm saying like off of that Oklahoma team in 2022, they
Oh,
had big time draft prospects. TCU's team last year had big time draft prospects. They just didn't figure it out until late. That series win that Oklahoma State had this weekend puts them in the conversation of, oh, is this team going to make a run with their star power? Did they finally figure it out? So watch out for Oklahoma State. Watch out for West Virginia. Those are teams that can get hot and win a lot of ball games.
100%.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about before we get to the Sun Belt because I know we all love talking about the Sun Belt. The
Hey,
Big
Iowa.
West.
Let's do the Big Ten just really fast. I can summarize it really
Go
quick.
ahead.
Iowa, awful.
Not
Nebraska,
good.
really good. Michigan, surprisingly playing really well. Michigan gets a series win over Iowa. They're 6-3 in the Big Ten, and but yeah, I think Nebraska has kind of solidified themselves as like the top team. I watched some of that series this weekend, and Haymarket Park was awesome. The environment was great, weather was great. I hope they get to host a regional. They're in the regional hosting picture RPI wise right now, which is good to see. Other than that, Maryland really disappointing the last couple weeks. That's about it.
Yeah, Iowa stinks. Indiana can't pitch. They stink.
Indiana played
Maryland
good this
stinks.
weekend.
Huh?
Indiana won 2 out of 3 against Maryland.
Okay, but I don't think Maryland that great right now. They all stink right now. I just think they all stink. Overall, they might not stink, but right now they stink. And by the
All
way,
right,
stink is one of my favorite words now. I love that word because it's so offensive. Like if you go up to somebody
I
and say,
do.
"You stink," like if you
Yeah.
go up to someone and be like, "Damn, bro, you smell bad," but if someone comes up to you and goes, "You stink," you're like, "Damn, do I really?" Like you're like, "Damn, I stink."
It's a good point too, guys. I'd almost rather like be cussed at because like you can get kind of frivolous when you start cussing, but stink like kind of cuts a little bit.
It does. It feels like it's like a very harsh word. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm impressed with Nebraska. I think they're the best team right now.
I've got one for you too because I was looking at him before. Illinois, who sits on the top of that conference, who I know absolutely diddly shit about. Like truthfully, like they're 7-2 in the conference, they're 16-13 overall. Not a great RPI. They're 2-8 against quad one teams, but they have like really like they've lost like top 5-10 teams. Like they've gotten beat by Florida State, they've gotten beat by Coastal Carolina, they got beat by Wake early, they got swept by Tennessee, Indiana State beat them in a midweek. So like their losses are to like really good teams. Again, hand up. I'm gonna do some research on the Fighting in Illini because I really don't know anything about them, but like I think there might be something there. I like teams that go get their teeth kicked in early on and see like how they respond.
The only thing I know about Illinois is I bet on them against Coastal Carolina, like the first or second weekend,
They're not good.
and they hit 3 homers in the first inning, and I think they lost by 15. Like they were up like 5-0 in the first to Coastal, and I was like, oh, this was a great bet, like plus 400, and Coastal beat them by 15. So that's all I know.
Yep. So, anyways, I wanted to just make sure we touched on it real quick. I'm extremely disappointed overall with the Big West so far. I think,
Other than UC Irvine,
besides Irvine, everybody knew. We at least you and I, Ben, we knew Irvine was good. Was going to be really good.
we also had hand up. We had UC Santa Barbara #1 overall mid-major to start the year.
I mean, I did pick
Uh,
Irvine to win the Big West, so
That is true. But yeah, UC Santa Barbara is a good team, and they got one win on the road this weekend at UC Irvine, but they have that Campbell series loss, which isn't looking
they
great.
have a
Campbell's kind of struggling right now.
Cal
But
Poly.
yeah, that Cal Poly loss. They do have a series win against Oregon, which is nice. But yeah, it's starting to look like a one bid league where we thought maybe 3 teams could get in preseason.
It's going to be
So
two. It's going to be two. It's going to be Santa Barbara and Irvine again.
Yeah, have you seen their RPI though? I mean, you did say that it starts to matter. There's still like a 23 RPI though in the country.
Santa Barbara will always be a postseason team unless they have an epic, colossal collapse. They're always a postseason team. It's the Irvine that I'm always worried about because I feel like they get hosed. Last year they got hosed. They're always on
Well,
that.
wait, can I bring up a point about UC Santa Barbara and the
Go ahead.
RPI? I think the RPI is not broken, but I think it's not reading UC Santa Barbara's games as road games because now the road games do matter in the RPI.
Yeah, but
Um,
those games don't count as road games. They're home games.
I know, but they're still on the road. They should count as road games, even though I think they're being
That's just
considered
enough.
home.
USC's home games are in Irvine. Those are home games.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they should get credit for road games.
I
The
agree. I think they
neutral's fine.
should get credit, but they're scheduled as home game, and the committee does not care. That's the school's problem. They should have found a way to avoid that. Like, who decides to start construction on a stadium and play on the road? Like, who does that? Could you imagine Mississippi State? Hey, we're gonna redo Duty Noble Field, so you guys are gonna play at you guys are gonna play in Mobile or whatever that stadium is called in South Mississippi, Trustmark from Pearl. Could you
Yeah,
imagine?
Trustmark. Yeah.
Imagine telling Mississippi State fans, "Hey, we're going to play in Pearl this year while the stadium gets built." They would say, "No, the fuck you're
I
not."
would hate
They're
that.
they're literally going to show up to the stadium and say, "No, the fuck you're not. You're playing right here."
That's true.
So
Good point.
that's just on the school, man. In my opinion.
Yeah.
There's a
Um,
couple more Bulldog
you
fans than
told me
Gaucho
SunBelt. I
fans.
was getting my brain ready for the SunBelt. Are we going SunBelt now?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
and then we can do what do we got? Hour 12 minutes. Let's talk about Sunbelt real quick. Let's talk real quick through the top 16, and then we can kind of just trickle off from there.
Pac-12. We can do Pac-12 real quick.
Yep.
It looks like Oregon State finally wants to win the Pac-12. They were messing around there for a couple weeks. Oregon Ducks are still very much alive. Utah, okay, but yeah, the Pac-12 I think will end up. I feel like the committee is going to screw the Pac-12 this year. Not screw as far as like there's going to be a team on the bubble in the Pac-12. The committee's going to say, they're not even a conference next year. Let's just move on. Pac-12, 2,
I
3
could
teams.
totally see that.
Yeah, that's my point of view.
I have one thing to say about the Pac-12, and then I'll let you guys say whatever you have. I
Okay.
need the USC Trojan to stop doing whatever they're doing and go back to losing, because I stood on business when I said that team sucks. Sorry, not
playing good
suck. I
now.
said they stink. They fucking stink. I said that about a month ago, and now these guys have reeled off 4 straight wins. They're 9-5 in Pac-12 play. They're still a game under 500. That's how bad they were to start the year. So I need USC to start losing just to save myself. I'm not going to be able to handle myself if USC ends up top 3 in Pac-12 and like a 2 seed in the regional.
That's a great point. Yeah, the Trojans are playing really well. Is UCLA still in last place?
They're horrific. They're 5-10. They're
That's
second to
so
last.
bad.
Washington's behind.
Washington's behind them. Jack, you got any
What
thoughts on the
Washington?
Pac-12?
Negativo. Oregon's still using pencil bats, so they're still my favorite team.
I love that.
SunBelt. Yeah, let's go SunBelt here.
Hey, one thing. I just didn't even realize it. Arizona's 10-5 in the Pac-12 right now.
Are they really?
Series win over Northeastern. They did play really, really well in the Frisco. I think they lost both games by one run in the Frisco to Dallas Baptist in Alabama. They played really well in that.
Yeah.
Um,
They rattled off
I
seven
mean, I
straight.
mean,
They beat Cal this weekend, and
they
then
swept Cal this
who
weekend.
they beat Southern Cal before that. I know they've won
No,
seven
Arizona
straight.
State.
They beat USC.
They did, yeah. They've rattled off seven straight. I knew that, but I just did.
No, they swept UCLA the weekend before.
Oh, that's who it was, not USC, because USC's winning. We made that clear.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the Pac-12 is concerning right now.
You know who's not
It's
concerning?
hard.
The Louisiana Raging Cajuns. 14 straight wins. Like 15 straight wins. Sorry, I forgot to count today. 15 straight wins. They're 11-1 in SunBelt play. And like, dude, we need the Teague to host a regional. It's been since what, 2014, when they had those powerhouse teams right in our prime. Like I remember
Oh my God.
getting sent home from UT Martin with a 9-43 record and just loving to watch the Louisiana Raging Cajuns regional at home. Uh, those Matt Deggs teams were just special to watch. And or I guess they weren't even Matt Deggs teams. He was an assistant at the time.
No, it was
Yeah,
Robichaux.
was there. Deggs was an assistant. But
I want to say one thing, Jack. Are you familiar with the resume that the 2014 Louisiana Raging Cajun had?
From a win. No, I remember watching that team play, but definitely would love.
Number 1 overall seed. 58-10
Definitely
record.
didn't remember that.
That team hit. I think that team was on steroids. I'm not throwing out any claims or anything. From a fan perspective, I thought that team was on roid. They all had big beards. They looked like Grizzly Adam from the night. They were like all 35 years old and absolutely hit balls further than anybody I've ever seen.
You know what's funny that you said about that? Yeah. No, go ahead. Keep going.
I was just gonna say, they were the team that made BB Core bats not look like BB Core bats. They would swing out of their shoes, very similar to Coastal Carolina today. You know how Coastal Carolina's today would just swing and lift the ball in the air and like they hit nukes. That's how this Louisiana Raging Cajuns team was. And they ended up losing to Ole Miss in a super regional in 2014. But yeah, they were the number 1 overall seed. Very, very talented. Awesome to watch.
You know what's annoying about that team? They got hosed because they had to play Mississippi State in that regional. They came all the way back to win it and then had to turn around and play Ole Miss right after that.
Yeah.
In the super.
They're fun.
Anyways, yeah, Raging Cajuns look good right now. I hope they host a regional, but you look behind them, right? And the Sun Belt is one of those conferences where everything is shaking out kind of how we expected it. It was kind of mushy gushy for a while. There was teams up there at the top that were like, are they really that good? Other than Texas State, we were dead wrong on Texas State. They're playing bad baseball right now, bottom of the standings.
I wouldn't say we were wrong. The Shriners fooled us.
That was their Super Bowl, right?
Series.
Or World Series.
Jack fooled us.
No. Jack called it. He said when Texas State's SID tweeted out when they played Texas, that was their World Series. Jack was like, "It's over with."
Oh yeah,
and it was. I mean, it was the sickest win ever. But like, we're still in March. Like, it wasn't your World Series. You guys are super talented. Go win the damn Sun Belt. We'll see you in the regional in Austin. Like, hell yeah. But yeah,
you ain't seeing them nowhere. But you ain't seeing them anywhere near the postseason.
No. But yeah, you look like Georgia Southern's playing good baseball. Their offensive numbers are terrible, but they're pitching lights out. They sweep Georgia State this weekend at home. Big series sweep. Southern Miss, all reliable. You know they're going to win 2 out of 3 every single weekend. They take 2 out of 3 against South Alabama. It's just kind of shaking out into form. Now, I did not expect Louisiana to be 11-1 at this point, but schedule a little light. Like it gets a little bit harder here down the road, but I mean, I'm just hoping as an unbiased college baseball fan, I'm just hoping for a regional in Lafayette, Louisiana because it is exciting for the sport. It is something that casual fans will be glued to the TV to watch. And just think about like who could be a 2 seed and a 3 seed in that regional. Like we're talking like potentially a
Mississippi
A
State could be a 2
Mississippi
seed
State,
there.
maybe an LSU. Like Lamar could be a
LSU could
4
be there.
seed there, which is right down the road. I mean, we're talking about a very electric, awesome regional if done right.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Louisiana first, Southern Miss, Georgia Southern 8-4, tied for second. Coastal 7-5. Coastal, I think they're following the hot cold hot
Yeah,
theory
they
just
are.
perfectly. They're following the script. They were smoking. They're hot cold right now. Let them get out of this by the end of the month. They get out of it, buddy. Let me tell you, Coastal's going to come out guns blazing in
I
May,
had two.
and it's going to take.
I had two things accrediting the pod to instant success. First being the jinx that happened at the Houston Astros College Classic. Texas State looked unbelievable. They looked like World Series champions, some might say. And the Cajuns had their Friday night guy yaboed and taxied back to the hotel. The boys admin on the 11.7 went viral, tweeted out there. 18-3 since that moment. 18-3 since that moment. They end up losing a heartbreaker on Sunday night at 2:00 in the morning to Houston. It just looked like it was just going horribly. And then Kyle DeBarge goes nuts. He's got 11 homers. He looks great. That is on you guys. And then the second one is I think Gilly and the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers are listening to the pod. I think he listens. The hot, cold, hot theory is so real. Like it's so real. And he doesn't want to come in too hot. Like I don't want to come in maybe necessarily as the national seed. I don't want to come in as like the hey, like look, Coastal's like that mid-major we need to rah behind. Zach Beach is going nuts at first base. Derek Bender's being Derek Bender. And they got a lot of young pitching like that they shored up from last year where their bullpen's a lot better. Like a kid like Cam Fluke, who's 95, 96, like 6'5, 220. Like they didn't have that coming out of the pen last year. I know Teddy Sharkey was great, but they want to kind of fly in under the radar, playing really good ball. They don't want to host like they did last year. They want to go kick the shit out of like a Power 5 school in a super like they did to LSU in that like at the box. The hot cold hot you had me giddy because that's all I wanted to talk about.
It's special. I can
Hey,
see it
do
now.
you
Wait,
guys?
I need everybody to be quiet real fast because I need somebody to clip this. I can look into the future right now, and I can see exactly the regional that's going to happen. It's going to be East Carolina hosting, Coastal Carolina, NC State, and then a 4 seed from the Northeast. Like book it now. I can see this regional. The colors are going to be amazing. You get purple and gold, the red and black, the teal and blackish, or I don't know.
Did this regional not just recently happen?
I think it's been like mixes. These teams have played each other in regionals in some form,
Every year.
but no, this regional will happen because the NCAA is going to screw over NC State as they usually do. They're going to put them in like NC State's going to struggle, limp into the tournament. They'll be a 3 seed. Coastal's going to limp in and then get hot, become a 2 seed. East Carolina is going to host, and then you'll have like a 4 seed, like a Ryder or a Wagner or somebody float in there, but it's going to be an all-time regional. It's going to happen. Just somebody clip this and send it out in June when it actually happens.
By the way, do you guys remember what game it was when Louisiana had the pitcher, the dugout thing? Was that against LSU or Houston?
It's
That
game
was
one.
Saturday. Oh yeah, game one.
Game,
Oh, it was
it was
Vanderbilt.
Yeah, it
Friday.
was Vandy.
It was
Game
Vandy.
one. Yeah.
It was Vandy. Yeah, it was Vandy. You're right. Well, whatever. After they left Shriners, they figured it out. Whatever it was, they figured it out.
Yeah.
So that's a fun. Sunbelts could be super fun to follow for the next month.
Yeah. There was another point. I don't have anything written down. We might be missing some stuff from this weekend,
Oh,
but any other storylines before I go
oh,
into my business ideas, and then we'll
Yeah.
do the preview the midweek.
storyline. No, I think we're missing one or two, but can't remember.
Oh well. All right, business ideas. I'll make this quick. 3 of them came to me this weekend. College baseball focused. Number 1. I told you guys about this pre-show. Uh, I think I'm going to write a college baseball book. And people are like, "Oh, Ben, you're not an author, this and that, whatever." I like to think I can write really well, and I just don't because my attention span will not let me sit in front of a computer and write. So this is what I'm going to do. Here's my idea: college baseball book, 101 college baseball stories that you'll never believe, or 101 college baseball stories that will make you laugh your ass off. Whatever you want to title it. I'm going to let people do the writing for me, and then I will contribute to that. People are going to send in their funniest college baseball stories, whether you're a former player, a coach, a fan, you witness something, whether it's a guy that gets a DUI and the night before a game comes out and tears it up, whatever. Nobody knows about his DUI. That's happened before. That's a true story. Like here's a true story for me. We get on the bus after playing Memphis, and we're in the bad part of Memphis. We pull over. The only place open at 1 a.m. is a Waffle House. Our coaches actually had to go in the Waffle House and cook us dinner because there was one employee in this Waffle House. It was awesome. We got pictures. It was awesome. But yeah, basically, players, coaches, they send in their stories. I'll read through them, pick the best ones, put it together in a book. That would sell like crazy. I know it because college baseball is a sport unlike any other. You get a good mix of players that have personalities that you've just never seen a human being have before. That's idea number one. Number two, how about this idea? What do college baseball players do after they graduate? Most people like they go try to find a job. This is a serious business idea where we host 11.7 conference for college baseball players around the country. They come and they come to this conference or convention, and we get big companies like Deloitte, Apple, this like just a bunch of big companies that are trying to hire former college athletes, and these companies pay to be a part of the convention. They have booths set up, they have speakers that go on stage, and you just have an audience of college baseball players that are done playing that need to get jobs. Because I know for me personally, after I got done playing, I was like, am I going to coach? Am I going to go work at a warehouse? Like, what am I going to do? Because you don't think of that stuff until your team gets eliminated in your conference tournament. So we put on a convention, help these guys get jobs. The third idea, um, I don't remember. I'm sorry, I should have wrote it down. But it
I'm
was
still
So this proves your point of your
yeah,
attention
the
span.
attention span's not quite there. It's also like 1 a.m. right now. Um, if the third idea comes to me while we're previewing the midweek, I will blurt it out. But for right now, it was um, I don't remember. Let's preview the midweek, fellas. Let's do this real quick. WarrenNolan.com. Dimitri, pull it up. Let's just scroll through it together. Share your screen.
Don't tell me what to do. No, we like this better. All right. What do we got? Coastal Wake, massive.
Golly,
All
I wonder
game.
what the over under is on that game. What is Vegas going to set the over under at?
tell you the last time
19
it
and a
was.
half?
I was gonna tell you the last time it was 4 touchdowns, so I hope it's on brand.
Um.
Ooh, South Dakota State
Oh,
is hosting Northwest College. That's a big one.
One of my favorite
that's massive.
One of my favorite ones, I know there's a couple. I mean, the in-state one, Florida State, Florida, I know is again Tuesday. UNCW is actually hosting NC State, which I'm really stoked about. Brooks Field's a really cool, intimate ballpark at UNC Wilmington. If you're not familiar, go watch this weekend. I believe it's a Flow Sports game, but worth the worth the subscription. I've got it. But being a little bit biased, the Palmetto State versus just the battle over who's basically the Carolina, right? And North
Yeah.
Carolina, South Carolina. That's always like just such a sexy costume game, like from a uniform standpoint, and then also just really good baseball too.
Hey, Ben, or both of you guys, I think this game right here is massive for Georgia Southern. If they can keep things going, they're playing really well right now. If you want to kind of help your postseason picture and not have to win that SunBelt tournament, you've got to take care of these games.
Well, we have to say it because we're a podcast. Georgia Southern is at Georgia Tech.
Oh yeah. Georgia Southern at Georgia Tech. Sorry.
There was a couple more up there that we missed. Like FAU at Miami, like guaranteed Miami loss. Did they just lose?
What do you mean? They've already beat them
Oh, really?
twice.
Well, I know they're due for a
Yeah.
loss there. Jack, are you on the call for Charleston at Charleston Southern?
You're dang right, baby.
Let's go.
What else do we got? We got
I've got your 3 hypothetical value bets of the Tuesday. If you want to hear them, you ready?
Let's hear it.
Where else would you rather look than on your mid-major rankings? UC Irvine and Southern Cal Dmitry Rizgod desperately needs Irvine to beat up on the Trojans. It proves both points of the aisle. And then a team that's just sneakily kind of sat in the mid-major poll, Portland at 20-9 goes and plays Oregon State. That could be kind of a potential sleeper guy. I got to imagine it's going to be a plus 400 pick. And then being a Southern Conference dude, I think Samford has the ability to beat Kentucky in midweek because I think Samford will probably go throw their Friday, Saturday guys as like a bullpen day, go get them 2 innings of work. And then all of a sudden, if they get out to an early lead because their offense is really good, the Samford Bulldogs are a lot of fun. So if you can get a line on that one, take the over,
Hey,
and Samford can beat them.
we've got game 2 of the 2024 World Series right here
Oh,
in San Marcos,
great
Texas.
look.
And we're a podcast, so it's Texas at Texas State. You have to say the game, dude.
Damn, if Texas State wasn't so bad, this game would have been circled on the
Yeah.
Which
calendar.
means what?
Hey,
They're going to win, which means they're absolutely going to win.
probably. Hey, I love this game right
You
here.
just did it again.
Oh my God, UTSA at Texas A&M. I really like that game. Okay, I'm just gonna keep saying them all out. South Carolina at North Carolina at Truist Field in Charlotte. Battle for the Carolina name. Hey, watch out for Murray State. I think that team, they had a kind of a rough weekend, but I think they're a really good team.
Yeah.
And then I think Jack covered the rest. Yeah. So yeah, we got some really good midweeks on Tuesday.
Dude, this is one of those.
Oh, keep an eye out for this team, St. Mary's College. The Gale are good this year. They just took 3 out of 4 from Grand Canyon this weekend. They're good. I watched some of it.
I missed that. Scroll back up. There was a few games that caught my attention. Like UT Rio Grande Valley at TCU. Like watch out for the Vaqueros. Really good team. Keep scrolling up. Keep scrolling up. Sam Houston's always big. Does McNeese State hand LSU a loss midweek? Right? Like LSU's been playing bad. They lose to Southern last Monday. This feels like a big get me right game. I think LSU probably run rules McNeese, but keep an eye out there. Oklahoma State at Wichita State will be a fun environment. Wichita State's good this year. They're getting the home crowd back involved. That's always a fun one. Anything on Wednesday?
Oh man, this would have been perfect to go check out. I never got to go check them out. San Diego at UC San Diego in La Jolla, right down the road from where I was. I would have loved to have gone to that one. And then Wednesday, I don't know what we have Wednesday. St. Peter's at Lafayette, electric in Forks Township, Pennsylvania.
The only really fun one I saw on Wednesday, the Hatters and UCF. I think that'll be
a good one. That's a really good one.
Mercer at Florida A&M in the Rattler Dome.
Ben, nobody gives a shit. Nobody
you
cares.
Just let
in the Rattler Dome. UCF Stetson. Did we just say that?
No one cares.
Law Tech.
I think more people
Law Tech against the Raging Cajuns.
Ooh,
that's a big game.
Oh, how about that?
I think more people care about Incarnate Word at Southern, the red hot Southern coming off a massive midweek against LSU.
Hey, should we stay on and pick our 6 weekend series pick'ems for the fans? Let them listen to it. Let's do it.
No, because it takes a minute.
No, it doesn't take long.
I don't want to do it.
We got Jack here. We'll crush it. We'll pick the 6 games right now. In fact, I'm pulling Warren Nolan up on my site too.
Pull your Warren Nolan up. Can I just say that Ben Tuesday screams if you went and hypothetically invested $11.07 on every underdog that we listed, it would be you would absolutely finish plus money, no doubt.
$11.70 on a massive parlay.
Yep. All right, so we're gonna pick our 6 weekend series really quick. This is gonna be fun.
All right, well, let me get my pen so I can write this stuff down. But let me ask you this before we even get started on this: are we allowing any Thursday series?
No Thursday. I just looked at the Thursday series. Not great. Like Miami, Florida State's there. Whatever. Everybody's gonna pick Florida State. Georgia is playing somebody on Thursday.
Kentucky Auburn. I have it in front of you,
Georgia, Missouri, Baylor, BYU. Yeah, we don't need any of those series. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get a little live behind the scenes peek at our 6 weekend series pick'em. I always scroll down to the bottom because I like the night games typically more. Here's a big one that needs to be on there. Wright State, Northern Kentucky. Battle of the Horizon League, I believe. Northern Kentucky 10-2 at home, but Wright State runs that conference. They've run it for like the last 5 years. So write that one down. Wright State at Northern Kentucky. People are gonna love to pick that series.
All right.
Are we gonna do South Carolina at Florida? Possible,
Why would we do that one?
because I think that's a tough one to pick.
Oh, you're right. Oh yeah, I forgot we do difficulty here.
Yes, that is a difficult one to pick. Scrolling through. We got to remember this is a podcast, so we have to continue to
I
talk.
don't want to pick this series. But from a difficulty perspective, Virginia Tech at Georgia Tech would be super hard to pick.
Yes. Before I forget, Mississippi State at Ole Miss has got to be on there just for tradition. Do we throw LSU at Tennessee on there or
No.
No.
Do we throw Texas Tech at TCU on there?
We'll write it down.
All right, Kansas State at Oklahoma.
No. I'm tired of
No.
Oklahoma being on our pick'em.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, burn me.
That's another thing. Sometimes we get tired of like Southern Miss and Wake Forest that just
Yeah.
seem like they're always on there.
St. John's at UConn. We just had UConn.
No, we just did UConn. Not doing it.
Florida Gulf Coast at Stetson.
Oh, here's one. Vanderbilt at Texas A&M.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you guys not hit that one? I was tinkling. That's the marquee matchup, isn't it?
Yeah. I would say that right now is marquee matchup.
Hey Ben,
for sure.
what about Gulf Coast at Stetson?
Write it down. I don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger on that.
Coastal at Georgia Southern.
Oh, dude, Georgia Southern is always on there, but yeah.
I know. So it's no, we're not doing it.
FAU Wichita State. That's a weird one.
We just had FAU.
I know, that's a weird one. That's what I said. We got to do UCF at West Virginia, right? Two teams that we just talked about being exciting.
We just had UCF.
Ah, shoot, you're right. All right, I'm looking at the mid majors now.
Do you guys want me to get weird? How about Austin P and Jacksonville for some huge put yourself in the driver's seat spot?
No. Gulf Coast.
Green
Gulf Coast Stetson is a way bigger ASUN series than that. Come on, man. By the way, the Govs kind of sting too right now.
Take that back. I'll die on that hill. Roland Fan and I are rolling our asses to Omaha this year. You take that back.
Too late, buddy. Hey, USC at Oregon.
USC at Oregon. Yeah, we need that one. We need a West Coast game.
Irvine at UC San Diego.
Nope.
I'll go fuck myself then.
I said yes to the first one. I said no to the second one. Also, you've buddied Jack twice this episode. You've just straight up buddied him. That's not against the bro. I mean, that's against the bro code.
No, it's not, and I'll tell you why. Because that was a pen versus pencil talk argument.
Fair enough.
I can feel it. I take no hate in it. He was just wrong. Me and my green shoes are always on go.
This feels like the week that we have the two really bad teams in the weekend series pick 'em, like an O for somebody that's.
I mean, we have conference. 7 good ones already.
All right, so Wright State, Northern Kentucky, check. South Carolina, Florida, check. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, check. Vandy, A&M, check.
So we're just gonna pick the whole entire SEC slate at this point.
We could do George Mason, Dayton. That's gonna be an electric atmosphere at the Dayton Dragon Stadium.
Is it televised?
Definitely not. Probably. Well, I mean, maybe. I was just kind of fucking around because I wanted to offer some disparity, and I wanted to get my third buddy in before we ended.
Wow, I had no idea, but Maryland Eastern Shore is 0-25 this year.
Yep, I was going to bring that up actually. They're winless.
That is terrible, man. Dude, honestly, I don't know anything about their program, and like, I'm sorry if I offend anybody. Wait, hold on, let me finish. Could you, me, and Jack go and recruit at Maryland Eastern Shore and get a win in our first 25
I promise you right now, we can go and win one game at Maryland Eastern Shore. No doubt about it.
I believe that too, in my full heart of hearts. Like, I think we could get a win by then.
Jack, you're telling me you don't give us a full offseason to go recruit. You don't think we can put together a lineup or a team to win one game? And even we don't even have to recruit. I guarantee we can convince their current roster to be better, and we can make them better and win a game.
Now that we might be able to do. Recruiting, you would lose me. I don't know if I'd have very much fun doing that.
What are you talking about?
Just go. We don't even have to go to high school. Just go get some JUCO guys up in the Northeast, convince them to go play ball with us. We'll have a great time and we'll kick some ass.
I just don't want to go do like a whole other fall and.
Oh yeah, I'm not in the ass business.
Ben wanted to like lock in for a whole calendar year. I'm not about that.
Yeah, I wanted a full 12 months with the guys.
No,
I did. Hey, speaking of teams that I want you guys to keep an eye on, that you guys just crapped all over. Long Island, the Sharks are 10-5 in conference. Only one out of conference when they may have started one in like 11. 10-5 in conference. The boys are buzzing. You'll see them in a regional, I guarantee it.
Can we put Southern at Grambling State on there?
No, Ben.
Southern 7-3 in the SWAC. Grambling State 9-2. I think that's a great series to add in.
No, sir, pal. You just got pal. You just got pal.
Just pal.
I don't know how to get buddied. Actually, no. Buddied is way more generic than
terrible series buster.
I think Chief always gets me. If someone calls me Chief to my face, I think I'm swinging.
No,
if I get stung a lot.
Don't call me buddy and don't call me pal. Oh my god.
Twice.
Buster.
Are we gonna throw in a little Louisiana Tech, Arizona? That's a weird matchup.
Okay, we got to end this podcast, dude. People are drooling to close their phone.
Do we have San Diego at Portland? That has to be on there. No, I think people actually will enjoy us talking like this.
I gotta tell you, I thought this was an unbelievable pod. I thought we were very good today.
Yeah,
we were great until right about now. When you start getting buddy,
Dimitri, I think you're totally underestimating what's going on. I think people like the behind the scenes, us picking the 6 series. I think this is gonna be a huge hit.
I think that if you are listening an hour and 20 in, you're definitely listening to this stuff because you're right. Like you liked it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You're probably right, pal.
Like these 20 minutes of people, the last 20 minutes, they are so stoked for us to get back on our Club Bro Omaha grind. They know who they are. I know. It's
gotta happen soon.
Those are those peeps.
All right. Okay, Ben. This is what I've got.
Say it. Just say it.
Rice State at Northern Kentucky. I know. I'm going to read them out, but just so you can see. South Carolina, Florida, Mississippi State at Ole Miss.
Slow down. I'm checking them off. Say it again. Say it again.
What do you want, pal?
Say it again.
Rice State and Northern Kentucky.
Boom. Okay.
South Carolina at Florida.
Boom. Okay.
But would you rather have that series or Vandy, Texas A&M? We're not picking both.
Why?
Because we already have Mississippi State, Ole Miss. We're not picking the whole entire SEC slate.
All right, that's fair. I'd rather have Vandy, A&M. We don't need USC in Florida.
All right, Vandy, A&M, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Rice State, Northern Kentucky.
Wright State, Northern Kentucky. So you have those 3.
Okay. Texas Tech at TCU, I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah, I'm going to say no.
No.
I'd rather do the West Virginia series in the Big 12.
Which one is that?
UCF at West Virginia.
All right, that'll be an emergency because we just had UCF. So we're definitely doing San Diego at Portland.
Yes. I have another series that is definitely, please let this happen. Utah Valley at UT Rio Grande Valley. You're going to think I'm crazy. I love watching UT Rio Grande Valley home games on ESPN Plus, and Utah Valley is an exciting team. Let's throw that one in there. Logos people are not used to seeing.
I promise you, I like to have fun here, but I can't do that one. I really can't. I can't.
Why? They're good teams.
That one.
They're both good teams.
But we already have Northern Kentucky on this pick'em. We're not doing that one too.
Can I tell you? Hey, as a lover of all mid majors and a lover of the pencil and pen talk argument, we didn't get just buddied. We didn't just get palled. We just got principled. He hit you with a Hey guys, I just want to let you know that I love having fun here, but I'm drawing the line in the sand, son. That's me.
Hey, you guys, Dimitri doesn't know UT Rio
All
Grande Valley
right.
and how great those
USC
streams
at
are.
Oregon. USC.
Sure. I mean, you're making the calls here, so sure.
Dude, you're giving me fucking dog shit choices. Battle of the
It's not
Valleys.
me. I don't make the series.
Those were fun ones. We're mid-major people.
Yeah.
We already have Rice, State of Northern Kentucky, San Diego at Portland, and we're getting ready to pick Gulf Coast at Stetson.
Okay. Well, he's running the show here.
And
Gulf
then
Coast at
USC,
Stetson.
and then
You get
USC at
Gulf Coast
Oregon.
at Stetson, but I don't get Utah Valley at UT Rio Grande Valley.
All right, you know what? We're doing UCF at West Virginia over that one. So we'll both be miserable people.
I think the people want just 6 series of just craziness.
Oh, it's coming, but it's not time for that yet.
All right.
Jacksonville, Austin.
You
Peay.
know there's a weekend coming where it's just going to be an absolutely awful slate, and then we'll pull that back out of our back pocket. We'll pull the card out.
This is what we should do. We should have 3 series locked in. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Vandy, A&M, Wright State, Northern Kentucky, and then us 3 each get to pick one.
Love it.
But bro, we already have it.
San Diego, Portland, USC. I don't want to do USC, Oregon. I don't want to do that one.
It's a hard series to pick because most people take Oregon. USC's playing well right now.
Yeah, we just can't. We can't have that.
I'm not doing Battle of the Valleys. I'm just going to tell you that much.
The Battle of the Valleys. It has to happen, dude. People want the Battle of Utah Valley versus UT Rio Grande Valley.
Dave, why don't you do this one? There's another Pac-12 one that's fun. A total random one. La Tech in Arizona. Arizona's playing well, but everyone loves La Tech. That's a fun one.
I'm gonna say no on that one, Jack.
Yeah, I was just kidding. I'm gonna go fuck myself. You guys have a great night.
You should do that because
We're gonna get you to hang up on this
we're
call.
literally arguing a series between the Battle of the Valley. I hate it so much that I really even hate it even more.
Well,
You
I'm
know
gonna
the
pick
phrase
that
that
one-
goes.
I'm
You
gonna
know the
pick
phrase
that one
that
on my
goes.
own. Then I'm gonna bring it up next episode. I'm gonna make a pick. It's gonna be an official pick. It's Ben Upton's bonus pick.
All right, fine. You know how
All right.
people say I hate it so much that I love it. I hate it so much that I fucking hate it even more.
You know, this is great. Peel back the curtain. People can really see how much we actually all 3 hate each other.
Oh
We,
my
we
God,
get we get we put our makeup on, get in
Ben's
front
gonna
of the
get.
camera. Hi everybody, welcome to Channel 13 News. I'm Ben Upton, and here are my 2 best friends, Jack and Dimitri. And then behind the scenes, it's we all actually hate each other.
All right, here we go. Final call. Here we go. Rice State at Northern Kentucky.
Done. Yes.
All I'm going to say is I like St. John's at UConn better than that series.
Nope.
Fine.
Gotta have the Rockets.
I'll give you both $100 if you can name me a player from any of the 4 teams that were just named. St. John's, UConn, Northern Kentucky.
I don't even know what teams. Dude. Yeah.
Hand up. Don't know one.
That's what I'm saying. So give the boys a little Austin Peay, a little JU, little.
No.
Hey, but I like it.
That's part of the fun and pick 'em. Picking these series that you just don't. You're just like, well, shit. Either I researched it or I probably better off just picking one.
I pick those series based off of like 2019. Like what do I know about 2019?
Hey, they have a great home stadium, great crowd. They went to a regional in 2020. They're really building off of that team. 4 years later,
That's
I'm going to
usually
take
what
them
I
this
do.
weekend.
Yeah. I had a
Dude,
friend in
we're
summer
exposing
ball
the
back in
spread.
2016 that played at Sacramento State, so I'm gonna go with the Hornets. That's
Yo,
usually what I do.
why are we exposing ourselves like this?
It's not
'Cause it's
exposing.
awesome.
This is true.
Anyway,
Like,
all right,
we don't
seriously,
pretend to be anything that we're not.
I'm not letting this thing get to 1 hour 50. Rice State and Northern Kentucky, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, USC at Oregon, San Diego at Portland.
No USC at Oregon.
Oh, right. 3, 4, 5. Yep. UCF at West Virginia. Scratch out USC at Oregon. UCF, West Virginia, San Diego, Portland, Vanderbilt at A&M, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Rice State, and Northern Kentucky. Done.
That's 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You
Oh yeah, so we
counted
are doing
again.
USC at Oregon.
You counted again.
We're doing USC at Oregon.
No, we're not. That series is
Then
gonna
what are we
bore me to
doing?
death
What are we
because
doing,
I
Buster?
already know what's gonna happen. Jack's gonna pick Oregon because of the pencil bats. You're gonna pick Oregon because you hate USC, and I'm gonna pick Oregon because I don't like USC much either.
All
And
right.
then
Well,
USC is gonna win the series.
you want to do Coastal at Georgia Southern or St. John's at
Oh,
UConn?
yeah,
I
we don't have a
told you the
SunBelt.
one I wanted to do.
The Utah, the Valleys.
We're not doing the Valley battle.
All right. Well, we need one more series.
We got to go
Second.
SunBelt. We're a SunBelt squad.
Coastal at Georgia Southern, Coastal at Georgia Southern.
Yeah, let's do that one. That's a good one. I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah, dude, I think it was the first one that Riz got offered up, and you're like, no.
I did. I was one of the first ones.
It's one of the
That
first.
should have been a lock. I
I
love
mean,
that
he
series.
had
I'm
the
gonna,
freaking heart emojis in his eye, looking at the valley, like, oh my god, the valley.
I will be making a
goes
pick
Coast.
on that series next episode.
We'll
goes
make a
Coastal.
pick, but it won't be on the pick 'em.
He goes Coastal, Georgia Southern. Two teams that we've talked about all year, and you're like, nah, Northern Kentucky, Wright State, game of the century.
Yeah, that's about right. Yep. All right, that's sick. I'm glad we you were gonna put USC Oregon over Coastal at Georgia Southern?
You were gonna pick the valley over all of them.
The Valley, dude.
I can play this game too, Buster.
I hope the
Plus,
I hope on the broadcast, whoever's broadcasting UT Rio Grande Valley, I hope they're like, yeah, and Ben Upton, our biggest supporter, is watching us. We have one fan watching the stream.
I have one
Wait, how
final
do
thing
we-
to say. We might talk shit back and forth, but we are one team, one family at 11.7.
Yeah.
Good night.
Yeah. All right, we'll end the show there. This was fun. We need to do behind the curtains all the time. This is fun.
I like it.
Anyways.